Okay, I'm doing the rest of it without mask. Because it's hard to talk like that for a while. Wearing it for a certain amount of time is all I can bear. Plus, it's harder to drink like that. So this will be probably part 3 now, because my mum interrupted me that time. Okay. Thor. Yes. So when I cut off, I was talking about how the way they think is kind of worrying, that they're so young, yet they're already trying to psychologically sort of intimidate and bully me. And they somehow know that by doing that, like that, but not directly being sort of nasty to me, is still as sort of bad as if they actually came up to me and started insulting me, pushing me around, or, you know, trying to beat me up. I'm glad they don't do that, though. I'd rather this than that, of course. So, I mean, people say it's just as bad or worse if you're sort of verbally or mentally, emotionally, or psychologically bullied or abused. They say it's as bad as or worse than being physically abused or bullied, but I don't agree. I'd have like a lot more anxiety if I was being constantly assaulted physically, to be honest, or in like, say, a relationship, like that abusive relationship or something where they're actually physically assaulting me like all the time, or you just don't never know when it's coming. So like, I'd say that was more anxiety inducing than them just verbally doing it. So I'm not saying it's good or whatever, I'm just saying I don't think it's as bad. But, you know, again, it's like everybody's different. I just ignore it. Like, I just know that they're just being silly and just being, you know, nasty and horrible. But it doesn't really affect me if I don't let it. It's the kind of thing that, you know, it might affect you and bother you if you let it, but whereas physically it really does bother you and affect you, like for real, like there's no getting around it. So yeah. So anyway, so as I was saying, so in the last one I was saying about how they came to the entrance of the toilets, and this were like screaming and going on with themselves about how I was there, calling me by their nickname that they've given me, and basically acting like I'm this scary, terrible monster, and then running off. They did come back. I went into one of the stalls, not to actually have a toilet, but just to sort of sit down calmly and go through my videos and pictures and delete stuff, because my phone was full. So, because if they were going to do anything, this harassment sort of thing, I wanted to record it, especially their reaction. I wanted to record their reaction, sort of pretend. They're obviously pretend, like, I don't really believe that they are scared of me. So I wanted to record their reaction towards me and pretending to be scared. And just in case they did anything, you know. And just get them on camera just for, like, future record. Which is, that's usually when I record people. I only record people when they're doing wrong, basically. So if these kids are harassing me in any way, like I say, most people probably say, oh, they're not doing anything, so, like, why are you recording them? Or they would even, like, if I was caught recording them, they'd probably have a go at me for it. And then I say, well, I'm recording you because this, that, and the other, you're doing this and that and the other. And they'd be like, oh, we're not doing anything. Like, I don't think this was last year. The year before, actually, I was harassed. I came out of, it might have been last year. I can't remember if it was last year or the year before, but either way, it doesn't matter. It was either one. I came out of the store, and these teenagers passed me, and they were going on with themselves, calling me Wolfie, howling at me, and even attempted to sort of follow me for a little bit, and then they continued where they were going, which was the shop as well. I just missed them sort of going in the shop. So I'd come out the shop, then they were going in the shop. And I went to do my thing, you know, like I normally do. And I was there for a good while, maybe half an hour. And when I came back, they were there again. They were still outside, hanging around at the bus shelter. So I was already live streaming at the time. And I decided, seeing as how I was already live streaming, I would continue to sort of record them. And then they started, like, complaining that I was recording them. And I explained to them, I'm only recording you because you started harassing me and calling me Wolfie and howling at me before. And they kept calling me a liar and saying they weren't doing anything, they weren't harassing me, they weren't this, that, and the other. So they're even trying to make me out to be a liar. That's another thing that people who are abusive, psychopaths, narcissists, abusers, bullies will do. Is call you a liar. They'll do something bad to you, and when you try and call them out on it, they will say that's rubbish, that's crap, you're lying, that didn't happen. And then they make it out like you're the bad one. Like in the last video, I was saying that those kids would be nice to me, and then after a while they'd be nasty, so I would react to that, then I'd go away, then the next day they'd be nice to me again, and they'd keep doing it over and over again. And I'm assuming that they wanted a reaction with me being angry and hostile, so they could say, well, we weren't doing anything, we were trying to be nice, you know, we were trying to make friends with you, and it's like, it is like they are trying to, they're not normal bullies, like normal kid bullies, just, like I say, they're just nasty, and they just, you know, either physically nasty to you or they are verbally nasty to you. But this is another level. That's what I'm trying to say, is that this is another level. They're actually being more abusive rather than just plain old bullies, like normal bullies. So ultimately this video, the point of this video is that this is why I don't wear my wolf gear, because I'm trying not to sort of fuel the already fire, that they already think that I'm weird, they already think I'm strange, they already, I mean, that day they called me a psychopath. And it's like, no, you're the psychopath, because you're actually doing things to me, then, because on camera obviously they weren't doing anything, technically. But they did before they were on camera. That's the problem. Usually, when they do anything, I never got it on camera. But then when I did finally record, they weren't doing anything. So that's why they would have a go at me for recording, because they weren't doing anything actually on camera. And they basically blame me and say what I was doing is wrong. But technically, what I got on camera was them not really doing anything technically. And then they called me the psychopath because I was having a go at them, I was confronting them, I was recording them, whatever. And they came over to the street. Like, I showed people the video, I explained everything that happened, I didn't lie, I didn't exaggerate, and everybody agreed that what they did was wrong, even though it did look like they hadn't done anything technically. But they were obviously doing something. They obviously did something before I started recording. And then the guy one of the boys came over across the road and confronted me, like, face to face, because I was recording and having a go. And like I say, I explained that I only recorded because you did what you did, and then he called me a liar and all that stuff. And then he threatened to hit me or whatever, and I almost did. I will admit, I almost did. He was really goading me, and he spat in my face, which is considered assault, you know. He spat, because I told it, because he kept getting really close. And I didn't really want to back off, because when you back off, that's like showing that you're, like, intimidated and scared and stuff, and I've always been told, like, not to do that. Like, if someone tries to get in your face, you sort of stand your ground. So I did, and I didn't really want to do that because of COVID and all. And I wasn't wearing a mask, because I wasn't expecting anything like that to happen outside. Like, I wore a mask inside, but I didn't expect anything to happen, so I didn't happen to have it on. He had a mask on, though. So he was fine. Of course, they look after themselves. So he came up to me, then spat in my face. But that was after I said about COVID, because he kept coming up to me, and I wanted to make sure that if I did back away, that he knew it was because I didn't want to catch COVID and not because he was actually intimidating me. So I mentioned that, and then he spat in my face deliberately because I said that. Not 3 times. And then he had the nerve later on to call me the psychopath, when he was not only calling me a liar, but then spitting in my face, and he was actually threatening to assault me as well. And I got it all on camera. And I've been told to just let people do it, actually, because, okay. And it's like, and when this was happening, I didn't know this, but the girl after that said that she got it on camera. I was like, great, hopefully it shows that they're still being an asshole. I've still got my version of it, though, which shows that they're the ones being the assholes. But yeah, so that happened. I forgot about that. I thought, oh, nothing has actually happened other than those kids coming and smashing the car up. And then those 3 girls sort of showing up everywhere. And then suddenly this year they've shown up as well. And then acted like they were scared of me. So anyway, so yeah, back to that one. So yeah, so I got rid of as much stuff on my camera as possible so I could record them, acting like that. And getting them on camera for future reference, just in case they did do anything wrong in the future. So as I keep saying, if someone is not happy about being filmed, it's usually because they're guilty of something. Either they have done something wrong, or they're planning on doing something wrong, especially to the person that they are having a go at for recording. So I'm more inclined to record someone if they protest to being recorded. So I think, oh, right, so you don't want me to record you because you're planning on doing something to me that's bad. And you try and make me out to be the bad one for recording in the first place. So I'll probably be like, oh, yes, well, I'd better not record then, or I'll stop recording then. And then the next minute they do something bad, but you've got no proof of evidence. You've not got the face, you've not got a recording of them, so on and so forth. Because obviously, like, even if they didn't do anything wrong on my camera, but they did something bad to me, I would be like, well, this is who did it, and show the police and be like, yeah, they did it. Even though I don't have proof of them actually doing it. But I can say at least I've got a description for them. And usually everybody I've described to them, or shown a picture of, they've said, oh yes, that's such a body. They do have a criminal record. So I've actually been proved right every time that the people who don't want to be recorded are guilty of something. Because every time I do record them and show a picture or describe them, the police have said to me that they know them and they're well known to the police and they have got a criminal record of some description. So I would be, like, a lot of people would see me as the bad person or the weirdo because I record. And people see that as weird when someone records, even though it's a legitimate career or hobby to record stuff and people, and like when you're out and about and stuff. It is an actual thing that people do. Sometimes when you record when you're out and about, you're going to get people in. Like whether you're trying to record yourself, maybe a friend, maybe a pet, maybe a child, your child obviously, and their friends maybe. You're going to get other children in, you're going to get other people in. No, it's unavoidable. So it's really unreasonable for people to get nasty with people recording. Because there's loads of reasons why people record out and about and other people. One is, like I say, hobby and just like maybe doing vlogs or doing video of things and people and places and stuff, like your travels or whatever, out and about. There are people who do, they have channels where it's just basically them going around different places and recording themselves or doing live streams of themselves. So people do that. So you can't really say I'm weird for doing it. It's not like I'm the only one who does it. It seems like I am because no one around here seems to do it. But people do it because I know of people. I watch channels of people going around their neighbourhood or other places and recording and live streaming. But no one gives them grief for it. Just me. It must just be the people around here. It must just be this area, especially because most of the people around here are, like I've said before, not very nice people. Most of them do probably have criminal records for whatever, whether it be drugs or some other reason. Stealing, thieving, So I think I'm right. I think I'm right for recording. I think I'm perfectly in my right. And when people have a go at me for it, I think it's because they're guilty of something. Like, I completely respect it if a shop or a premises is not happy about it and they want me to stop. That's fine. But if individual people get funny with me about it, I do usually feel bad about it, but I don't anymore. And in the future, I'm not going to, because it has been proven over and over again that when people have been, they have protested at me recording, it turns out that they have actually done something wrong, or they are planning on doing something wrong to me, or whatever. Or like I say, I find out from the police that they are well known and they have done this and that and the other. So that's what I'm going to say in future. So if anybody has a go at me for recording, I'm going to say that, well, the only reason why you are protesting so much for me recording and don't want to be my recording is because you are guilty of something or are planning on doing something bad. So yeah. I mean, I'm sure there are other reasons why some people don't want to be recorded. Like, I get that. I mean, my mum hasn't done anything bad, but she doesn't really like being recorded. But that was mainly because, first of all, she likes her privacy. She doesn't, and second of all, she thinks she's ugly, so she doesn't want to be on camera because of that. So, yeah, there are some people who just don't think they look nice and don't want to be on it, or because there was this woman, she was a really nice woman. I was in the supermarket, and she said, "I hope you haven't got me on the camera." She wasn't being nasty. I thought she was at first, but she wasn't. She said, "It's just because I don't look very nice, and I want to lose weight and stuff. I don't really want to, So she was nice about it. You get people who are nice about it as well. I just can't go around like asking each individual person, stranger, if I can record and accidentally maybe get them in the video. Like I say, if there wasn't CCTV around it, again, I would be kind of understanding about it, but most people are going to be on that anyway, so it doesn't really matter if they're on my videos, because my videos don't really get that many views anyway. It's not like I'm a dead popular channel or anything. But again, even if I was, the only reason why they'd have to be concerned is because they've done something wrong, and I'm exposing them for doing something wrong. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm not doing anything wrong. They are, or they have, or planning to. It's like. So anyway, while I was in that stall, they came back, and I thought they were like, "Where is she? Where is she?" I'm like, "Duh, obviously in a stall. If you've not seen me leave, then I'm obviously in one of the stalls. Idiots." Luckily, when I left the stall, they'd gone. But I recorded anyway, just in case they were around. There were some teenagers still in there, but they didn't say anything. But they kind of passed me, and then they ran off, so I assumed that they were them. And there was like a group of teenagers at the bottom of the escalator as I was going down. They were looking up, but they weren't looking at me. They were looking at a person over there, like up, still on the second floor. Or first floor? That would be ground floor, that'd be second floor. No, ground floor, first floor. So they were on the upper floor anyway. In America, I believe it's first floor, second floor, third floor. They do it like that, don't they? So first floor is ground floor, but in England, we call the first floor the ground floor. And then the floor above that would be the first floor. So in a house, this is like the kitchen on the ground floor, and then the upstairs is the first floor, technically. I kind of agree with first floor and second floor, though. I think that's less complicated. To me, first floor is the first floor, the ground floor. That's the one thing I agree with America doing differently. Well, there is a few things. But I'll mention those in another video. This one's getting long again. It's nearly 20 minutes long again. So sorry about that. Guess I just have a lot to say today. I have had like 2 coffees anyway, so I'm usually more talkative then. Not always, but sometimes. Yesterday I wasn't very talkative considering I'd had 2 coffees. So it doesn't always work like that. Oh, I've gone red. Anyway. So they didn't say anything anyway, but I thought it was weird that they ran ahead of me. Especially as they weren't going anywhere, they just stayed on that floor the first floor when all their friends were on the ground floor. But I passed them with no problems, so that's good. But yeah, so that's what I've had this year, but I'm really hoping that I don't get any more grief this year from them. But I have learnt my lesson, so if I'm in the park and the thing that happened last year happens again, where those girls are like sort of hanging around where I am, I'm just gonna like walk away. I'm just gonna move along. Oh, excuse me. Oh, the other thing that happened was, so that day, when I got off the swings and walked, like, that way, I went that way. I shouldn't have done, really, because I saw this big group of kids. But the reason why I walked that way, even though they were coming, was because I didn't know if they were hooligans or not. I assumed they were. But one of the girls was wearing her knickers. Not shorts that look like knickers, like you get these days. They were actually knickers. And I was like, wow. And it was like this, because I hadn't seen that. My friend said he's seen quite a few girls just out wearing the knickers as substitutes for shorts. And they don't want to be seen as sluts. Like, wear shorts. It's kind of the same thing, but respectable. It's just so weird. So I thought that was weird. So when I walked that way just to get a better look, I wasn't recording. I couldn't because I was on the phone to someone. I was on the phone to my friend, and I was telling him about everything that was going on there. And yeah, so I couldn't record, which is unfortunate. But they started having a go at me as I walked by. And unfortunately, I sort of didn't really trip, but I went down like a downy bit. So it kind of looked like I tripped, I guess. Because I wasn't paying attention, I suppose. So I went down. I stumbled, that's it, I stumbled. I didn't really trip over anything, I stumbled a bit. So he said, "Hey, you can't even walk." So I went, "Oh, you know, that girl's wearing a knickers." That's what I said. And I went, "Ha ha ha ha." But I'll do it to you and see how you like it. Bully you. But of course it doesn't mean anything to them because of course they're in a big group, so they're not asked. The only time it's really bad and intimidating is if you're alone and being bullied by multiple people. You know, I'm sure it doesn't bother them at all if one person is bullying them, but they feel all tough and confident, brave because they're in a big group. So, but well, I'll single you out. I'll single one of them out and see how they like it. So, yeah. So I was still kind of singling them out. I think, well, they need to have a taste of their own medicine. I know that's like counterproductive, but I think that they need to have like a bit of a taste of their own medicine. I've always wanted to like get my own group together and just like do it to them and see how they like it.